I have always been drawn to wood stoves and outdoor cooking. Survival ovens also intrigued me. I had the pleasure of cooking on a wood stove for several years, but I wanted my own earthen stove. There are many beautiful designs with almost no limitations except imagination and materials. My first oven was also my first experiment using cob. As such, this is a wonderful introduction to building with earth. The basic cob dome is very usable, easy, quick to make, and probably the most primitive oven design known to man, short of throwing things into the fire pit or turning food on a spit. To make this oven bake well, it needs to have the fire burning for maybe an hour and a half. These stoves are very smoky and require at least a wheelbarrow full of wood, but they retain heat, and with a good door will first bake dinner, then pizzas and veggies, and finally bread or brownies. Covering will also give an earth stove additional seasons of life. In my case, a perfect winter storm first whipped my plastic tarp with severe wind until the tarp cracked. Secondly, snowed almost a foot. Third and fourth, melted and refroze into the plaster on the outside of the oven. When it dried, it sounded like cardboard. I have recently seen a design where the roof structure was built into the dome design of an oven. I decided to build a little open shed to cover my newest stove. My brick orientation for my oven floor was horrible. I didn't have the right kind of brick. Since the bricks had holes in them, I filled them with sand, but it always filtered down through the layer of cinder blocks below. The oven lasted for 4 years, being used at least a dozen times a year, and the food tastes incredible. Snakes loved the old oven because it was in the sun and was covered with dark plastic, retaining heat all night. During the summer, there were snakes there almost without fail. I could always give the snakes fair warning when we used the oven. The theory of why this particular stove design works without a chimney is that if the opening is at 60% of the height of the oven, there will be enough draw to allow the fire to breathe. This does work, but the design causes the gases and smoke to escape at the top of the door, and this will eventually lead to degradation of this part of the oven over time. There are certainly better designed earth stoves, however. For my new oven, I had some goals. I wanted better materials for this oven, plus a roof. I wanted to have my oven at waist height because my first oven was too close to the ground, which caused my back to hurt and my dogs and chickens to take cheap shots when I wasn't looking. I wanted to try a rocket stove design that would burn with less smoke and use fuel more efficiently. I did not want to rely on charcoal, propane, or electricity. Wood is my fuel of choice since we have lots of falling branches on our wooded acre near Seattle. I came across these wild interlocking fire bricks for free, and I knew I had to design around them. I think they might have been bricks for building a secure vault or something. I'm not much of a bread eater, and I didn't want to fire my stove for any longer than I normally cook in my house. In other words, no more than 1.5 hours start to finish. I wanted to be able to control circulation around the top of the oven and to insulate the whole oven with cob and straw. Not being a cob purist, I wanted to try sheet metal as an oven bottom or grill. I was looking for any and all materials that would make a usable, efficient, and practical outdoor oven. If a stove is enclosed in ceramic mass, has control of rising heat and gases, allows circulation around an oven, can utilize focused and passive heat, then it is probably an efficient oven. Rocket stoves should be mentioned here. Compared to an open fire, a rocket stove allows for more controlled heat and less fuel use. A rocket stove design usually incorporates an L-shaped firebox and chimney. They barely smoke after they get hot. These stoves are being introduced globally to help stop deforestation. Most rocket stoves are built to cook pots of food or for skillets, but this design works just as well for ovens, where the heat from the fire can circulate around the oven chamber. A rocket stove design can be modified to be used for comfortable heating and decor inside people's homes. Designing and building these stoves is educational, great family fun, and a rewarding and economic project. I hope you've gotten ideas and maybe have been inspired to someday create your own earth oven.